We are happy to announce that this episode of the SWW Show is partially brought to you by Humble Bundle. Well, not really. We are part of the Humble Bundle referral program, and we just wanted to say that if you like really cheap games and maybe helping charity pending the Humble thing going on, all you have to do is go to humblebundle.com/partner equals SWW. That's right, humblebundle.com/partner equals SWW. And you just do your normal stuff, and it just kind of helps us get a couple bucks here and there. Maybe it helps AJ get his lights. Maybe it's Mike camera. Maybe we actually pay Corey for helping us out. But again, if you're going to go buy games anyway, it might be worth checking out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 59. Yes, 59 of the SWW Show. It's me, AJ. I got Mike with me.
Hello, I'm here.
It's the holiday season. Even more so because I think there's like 2.5 feet of snow outside of my door right now.
Did you get that much?
And we are recording this the week before Thanksgiving. Yes. Yesterday alone, I think we had 15 inches.
Jesus.
Yeah. We be getting that snow, boys, which is good because I think last year we had what felt like 20 all year, and it didn't snow until after the New Year.
Yeah, I remember there'd been like a snowy day or two around Chicago, but not much last year.
Yeah. But anyway, we can enjoy the snow later. What we've got for you this episode is a lot of news. A lot of Twitter links, so we may not be able to access our stories while we're recording because Twitter may go down while we're recording. But
okay, the odds that actually happens though.
It would be funny. It would occur to us though, like all the random tech issues that don't make it to air that we have to deal with.
That would be one of them. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
My money is that I really don't think it's going to happen, but that's valid.
Yeah. Something else that is valid, and I don't think will go away anytime soon, is Warzone 2. Now, you and I have both been playing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you this. Have you tried the DMZ mode?
I have not. Corey has been anti the idea of it. As you, I play with like Edgar and Corey, so
Yeah.
I have not had the chance to review.
Yes. Yep. That was actually the first game that I played. I was like, oh, what's this DMZ? Is this like a, instead of 4-player, a 3-player thing? But in fact, no. DMZ is more akin to 3-player Tarkov. So you go in and you need to loot stuff and then get out of there. And if you don't extract, you don't get that stuff. And you lose whatever you had in there if you don't extract. So
really?
You could definitely run into a situation where, like, if you have like 3 or 4 bad games to start, you're going in there with just your fists. Like, you have no other weapons. Which I didn't extract my first game. I did my second and extracted with some pretty decent stuff. So it's certainly interesting. It was kind of shocking to me my second game when we spawned and there was AI like directly in front of us already. And so we had to basically fight our way to stuff. But yeah, and then so one of our teammates died early on and left. The other one we pushed towards an extraction that another team had called in. He got on the helicopter to extract and killed the whole team. the whole other teams. Like, they were ready to extract
Jesus.
and started going up to extract, and he was just gunning guys down. So then he extracted, and then I had to wait for the timer to run up so I could extract. And luckily there was no one around me, but...
So does that mean, is this the mode also where you can take other team members?
What do you mean take other team members?
One of the modes, like, teams can merge together, I thought, or whatever.
Oh, that's, it's not this mode, but it's the one that I can't play because I don't actually own Warzone, or own Call of Duty.
Got it. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
So, there's like 3 modes in Warzone. One of them is traditional Warzone, one of them is DMZ, and the other one is that where you can, like, team up thing. So, other than that, I know your roommate has it. Did you buy Modern Warfare 2, or are you just playing Warzone?
No, I have Modern Warfare 2. I was playing the multiplayer for a bit. So, I think we talked about it a bit ago. It's more Call of Duty. I think Modern Warfare 2 is a stronger game than I think Vanguard was, but, like, I don't think it's as strong as, like, Cold War, for example. So I think there was definitely, like, some level. It's still, like, Call of Duty quality, but there's definitely some wiggle room kind of where it is kind of in that hierarchy of games. I also the thing is it's who you prefer, I think, too.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is, like, you can turn... I don't know if the settings are the same in regular multiplayer, but you can turn Warzone into Black Ops. Because...
No, I have that setting on for my Warzone too. You can change your aim assist and controls to whichever
you can change everything in that game to Black Ops. So you're basically playing Black Ops, but with the Modern Warfare 2 graphics.
Mm-hmm. Which is still interesting because you're playing other people who are playing. Like, it becomes this weird... I would be curious if we wait 6 months, kind of, which players, like, what do professional players do, like, what ranks ahead, kind of, with those modes?
It's Black Ops. Like, all the creators that I see that are like, hey, here's how to improve everything. It's like, switch everything to Black Ops. And, you know, change your reticle to just the dot, not the crosshair. So... yeah, I think in a way they may have kind of hindered themselves by having that option in there. Because now everyone's just going to play that style. And plus, like, the pros, like CDL, a lot of that stuff is on PC. And so you would want keyboard and mouse in that situation. So,
no, that's valid.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of it's Call of Duty, right? Like, DMZ is a little more traditional time to kill, especially with the AI, because they don't have the whole ability to gear up and stuff like that. So you're not running around breaking armor and, you know, the infinite time to kill that Warzone can feel like sometimes. But to
be fair, Warzone is not as bad as we've been playing with Rumbleverse, and Rumbleverse's time to kill is objectively worse.
Yeah. Which I saw that just released their first season, so.
Yeah, I'll be curious. We could talk about it because we were going to take a break on it, but we could discuss kind of off air.
We can look, yeah.
I think it comes down to kind of what they changed.
So, yeah, I'm going on vacation soon, so some of the stream stuff is a little bit wonky from here.
I think it's another full. No, we're off this week.
Yeah.
And then,
we're off.
We were off.
Yeah.
And then from when you're hearing this, we should be back to normal because this is now for another 2 weeks. So it's feel weird. So. Anything breaks at the end of the month, it's not my fault. Thanksgiving's fault. I doubt any news will break, but that's why it's gonna be weird.
So you streamed out a little bit of Metal Hellsinger, and I caught a few minutes in between when I was trying to do some other stuff. Let me tell you this right now, bud.
Mhm.
Rhythm games are not for you.
I actually got better. So I did see when you popped in. I get warmed up at a certain point. The issue is, I don't know, it's kind of a Doom-esque like, but it's a rhythm game. So the more closer you are on beat when you shoot or do damage, you basically have a damage multiplier, and you also get points because one of those kind of run games. Um, I did get better at that for the record. It's really, I think it's hard in combat to kind of be on beat. I think that's what it is. It's one of those like in combat, you're like, oh, I really need to take the damage now, but it's kind of hard. Also, it's interesting, depending on what difficulty on the beats changed from like the how big that window was you could be in. So, but yeah, Metal Singer, it's fine. I don't. I
It's
think.
funny that you compare it to Doom because
I think it is. I think it is Doom.
I played Doom as a rhythm game to the music.
Interesting.
So
But you didn't have to though.
no,
Like this game is Doom with that twist.
yeah,
Like that is 100. Like this game, like you get a shotgun in the first level. Like this game's Doom.
yeah,
It's Doom with a sword that you can use a little bit more. Like that's there's some twists, sure, but like it's a little more run based. But it very much is that like that's what's going for. My issue is when I'm playing it, I just want to be playing Doom. I think that's my problem with the game. Is it's the we already have a George moment. Like I don't think it does enough to make it a different, and I actually think it's shooting is worse. So like I think that's kind of a negative on it. Like it's still good. I just if I was gonna tell someone and then play Doom, I'd just be like go play Doom instead.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of tough when like there's already a great version of the game you're trying to make out there.
No, and I understand why it's rough. Like if this game came out in like the 2016 Doom never came out, it'd be great.
Yeah,
But it did, and that's the problem.
yeah, that would be an interesting reality because without that 2016 Doom, does this game come out?
Probably not, but if it did, I think it
Yeah,
would do gangbusters.
yeah,
Because this game it felt like that. Also the other thing with this game, if you don't know, is they got a lot of actual heavy metal and rock bands to do the songs for. So each stage is a song, and as you get to multiplayer, you either get the lyrics early or when you get to the boss fight, they actually have like whatever band song it is. It's actually like the full song, not just like the audio, like not just the rhythm of the song going,
interesting.
which is cool. Let me see. I'm trying to get like example when I say like math, like what's like mental health singer, like what's the big da, da, da. Yeah, like Soilwork, someone people know, Lamb of God, System of a Down, like these are the artists kind of like on the soundtrack.
Yeah,
So I think that's a cool little thing too.
and I believe they have a jazz pack out,
Maybe I don't know. I didn't.
or it's coming out. So yeah, it's another one of those rhythm games, from what it looked like, which those seem to be like a genre where it's not going to be there's not going to be 50 of these games coming out each year. But the 5 or 6 that do come out, maybe they don't do well commercially, but those that play them are like what's the right word that I want to use? Like the people that play them are kind of almost it's yeah, I don't know. There's a word that I'm looking for that's like the it's not apostle, but like when it's a religious term. Anyway, and they just like sing their praises, and it feels like to me we see like 2 or 3 of the 5 that come out kind of hit that zeitgeist of all right, people love them, and a couple streamers get a hold of it and just send it to the moon. Like is it Enter the Gungeon is one as well, Crypt of the Necrodancer. Um, are some of the other examples of kind of that rhythm combat, I guess, instead of just like traditional rhythm games. Speaking of out there things, you have Fractured Veil on here. I don't know what this is.
Am I going crazy? Is this not the... Yeah, this is what it is. This is the game I was being cagey about on stream the other day. That I got an early build I played with the developer of. It's like one of those survival type games, kind of think like how Boon Rust and stuff was big. But it feels kind of more almost Dead Island-y, but like not broken. So it was kind of cool. I wanted to make a point of the build I saw was pre-early access, so take that with what you want. So obviously there's some like bugs, some weird hiccupy things to that, but it's kind of a fun like survival game where you try to build a spot obviously in a shared server, and you just kind of survive. What's cool is it's one of those games when you log off, you're still in the world. You have to kind of be careful you log off and stuff, and I don't know, I think it was pretty cool. I'm excited to kind of see where it goes to next year, so we can keep an eye out on it. We might do some streams on it, TBD, going into next year. I've talked to developers some more, kind of what they're feeling on it. But it was a cool little kind of experience, talking to them and kind of experiencing it. Again, if you like these photo games, I think it's one that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. It's been in development, I think they said like 5 or 6 years, so it's been going on for a while. And I gotta say, the thing that impressed me was the server tech on that was actually really working really well. But yeah, it's one of those cool kind of games I think it's worth checking out on. The other game that I didn't put on here, by the way, too, is, do you remember the one that me and you played the other week?
Which one? Oh,
Yes.
Yes, I forget the name of it, but the spell one, or
yeah, that one.
whatever it was called. Yeah.
So I don't know if you had any thoughts on that game that we played.
Pretty much covered it on stream. That archive is up on our YouTube channel, so you can check out kind of our impressions of that. Something else that you can see are at least my impression of, because I streamed it a couple times. Battlefield 2042.
That's one coming to Game Pass, right?
I believe it is, yeah. But also, it's like Season 3 of their Battle Pass, and I haven't checked it out since they implemented their Battle Pass. That game still sucks. Like, straight up.
Which is why you should keep playing it.
No, this is the first time I've played it in... I don't know the last time that I played... Well, now that I played it the day that we're recording this, it's going to screw up my last time. But... Or last play.
You were playing it... Yeah, you were playing it a bunch, yeah.
I have 41 hours in Battlefield 2042, and that game is out a year as of the day we're recording this. So
it is the one coming to Game Pass with Season 3, I think, if people are curious about it.
Yeah. Don't expect much from that. And speaking of things that you cannot expect much from because it's a really weird situation. Moving on to things that we've seen. I don't know if... Have you ever seen an H-Bomber Guy video?
No, I've heard of him. I cannot place him. I've definitely heard of him.
Yeah. So he released one recently about the Roblox oof. Right? The death noise.
Oh, the video just popped up when I Googled him.
Yeah, no shit. It came out like a couple days ago as we're recording this. And he gets into who created the oof. Where'd it come from? Right? That part of the video is 15 minutes long, maybe 20 minutes long. This video is 2.5 hours. And he admits, like, I wanted to make a short video and release something. But then I got into the rabbit hole that is Tommy Talrico. Because he's tied to the Roblox oof noise. And I just want to say, if you have no idea who Tommy Talrico is, or just how much of a scumbag this guy is, or why you'll hear industry vets just clown this dude, but also have some respect for him, go watch this video. Yes, it's 2.5 hours. But I think it's the best way to explain who he is. He's absolutely insane, a pathological liar, and yeah, just go watch it whenever you get a chance. Another video that you should watch because they put their heart and soul into it. Secret Base released a feature-length documentary about the men you pay to be in shorts, is what the name of it is. And it's about basketball. And specifically about the Charlotte Hornets and the Bobcats. These guys are, if I had to point to a channel that I watch that puts the most amount of effort in for the least amount of return, it's these guys. You may know John Boyce. His touch on the game world was his Breaking Madden series that he had. And he's also just this incredible orator and just tells some of the craziest stories out there. He's the guy that we talked about at the Bit Bash, that first game that we saw.
Okay.
He's the creator of 17,776 and all up to that, which is like 2,000 something or 20,000 something. He has a project at Secret Base that he calls Dorktown, and it's these kind of out there stories. And his first big one was on the history of the Seattle Mariners. This one is about history of the Charlotte Hornets / Bobcats. It's also over 2.5 hours. Admittedly, I'm only about halfway through it as we're recording this, but it's enjoyable. It's really good. It's extremely well produced. Yeah, check these guys out because, like I said, their quality is such that, especially their research, it's absolutely insane. So.
Good to know.
Speaking of insane things, you have something on here called Naked. Please explain.
So, if you're going to Google Naked, if anyone does, make sure you put the word Netflix movie after that. It's just a warning. It's a Wayans. So it stars Marlon Wayans, which was one of the guys from White Chicks.
Yep.
People know the Wayans brothers.
Marlon also famous from Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes. You also have Regina Hall in this. Dennis Hallspert, who is the Allstate guy, I think. You're in good hands guy. Here's the real pitch. It's Groundhog Day on your wedding day, but each day starts by you waking up naked in an elevator.
Okay.
It's not great, but it was one of those like dumb movies we put on. It was surprisingly good, and that's why I wanted to shout it out. It was released in 2017. It's a Netflix movie. Again, don't expect great things. But I kind of like this. Like, wasn't there that horror film series a couple years ago that kind of did some similar? They basically took the Groundhog Day twist and just put it in a different genre, or twisted it a bunch. I kind of like that stuff where we kind of have these kind of movies that take Groundhog Day and just kind of lower budget, make them something dumb out of them. So I wanted to shout kind of this out. But yeah, it really is Tim of like 10 different times he wakes up naked in this elevator. Or at least you see 10 times. It's probably hundreds, but it's the usual like this is insane.
All right.
So, yeah. The other thing on my list is I just want to shout out that I saw clips that we talked about it a few months ago, but I saw it live when Kevin Smith was down, and it was one of those fun usual Q&As. So fun time. I still stick with it. I think he's worth seeing live once, just because I think he has fun stories, and I think he's kind of one of those like fun people to see live. But that's I wanted to kind of shout on that one because I know AJ's probably wrong his eyes at it.
I think I was more rolling my eyes at Clerks 3 than seeing Kevin
Seeing him
Smith
live.
Yeah.
So you at least you're good. There's something I think to seeing him live. I think there's something kind of fun to it.
Yeah, he seems like one of those guys that he's more connected than he puts out. So he's got some crazy stories.
And there were definitely times you're like, who? What?
Yeah.
Well, especially now that he, as he tells in any podcast, he bought his hometown movie theater. So he has those types of stories which are just fun. So. But yeah, that's kind of the big stuff here. And the other thing we wanted to shout out was mine and AJ's weekend in the Chicago. AJ, what was your opinion of the Chicago and what we did that weekend?
Chicagoing?
Chicagoing?
I mean, it's always a good time to hang out. We figured that it had been 3 years since you and I had last met in person.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it was a good time to catch up. And the city was fine. I mean, we stayed in some nicer areas,
Yeah, totally. We're definitely in the northern parts.
We didn't venture anywhere that we would have been in trouble. But yeah, it was a pretty good time. Would like to do it again in the near future.
We learned that you're okay with God, what was the one beer? The gingerbread beer.
Oh yeah, it was like a gingerbread porter.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, I tasted some ginger and that was about it, but
I did not like that beer in the slightest.
I was not as appalled as the others were. But,
yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, otherwise, Bit Bash we were special. We talk about the stuff we saw there. Yeah, that was kind of the big stuff of the weekend. We saw Black Panther, which we've talked about. So,
yep, that stuff is up in your feeds.
That's true. So jumping into the news. First off, we want to say rest in peace because Kevin Conroy, while AG was driving over, sadly died at the age of 66. Apparently had a battle with cancer. That's kind of, I think, still all we really know.
I was going to say, there wasn't much in the way of explanation for it, which I'm of the opinion, right, that there doesn't need to be, like, we don't need to know everything. So it's obviously tough to see because, he was and still is the voice of Batman to so many people. Even though we've had, 4 or 5 since?
Yeah.
4 or 5 people play Batman since Kevin Conroy started. But he was kind of the one, because at least for you and I, right, like we grew up with the animated series. He was Batman in video games, other animated stuff. So
yeah, he's arguably like when people think of the voice of Batman, I think he has to be it. Like,
yeah,
Like, there's also an argument that just because he's done so much, if you count the animated ones, that he might be the best Batman.
Potentially.
So, yeah, like I think it's an argument you have to discuss it, but I think he's in that discussion. I think reasonably in that discussion.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. The other news I wanted to talk about was is so there was this casting news, and I want to talk about more broadly is this new A24 pick called the Iron Claw, um, which it's a so Iron Claw is an upcoming biopic, and it's about I don't so it's the I feel like I
It's the
should
Von
know this film,
Erichs.
but yeah. Why do I know the Von Erich? Like, what is the? Do you know the Von Erich's background? Kind of top of your head.
Yes, I know a lot about the Von Erichs because I was a wrestling fan before you were.
Yeah.
The Von Erichs are quite possibly the most insane family you've ever heard of. Um, the entire family was in the wrestling business. A couple of them didn't make the crossover to WWE. They were bigger, like WCW guys. Plow trucks going to work. Um, and so a lot of people didn't know them. I believe Carrie made it over to WWE. So if anyone had heard of the Von Erichs, they probably heard of Carrie. Crazy story, absolutely insane, and it's now going to be an A24 movie with Zac Efron.
Oh yeah. If anyone saw that Zac Efron picture floating online, that's this movie.
Yes. Quite possibly maybe the best casting for any wrestling movie ever. Maxwell James Friedman or Jacob Friedman,
MJF.
MJF in AEW. So there's finally a pro wrestler in a movie about pro wrestling.
Okay, first off, The Rock was in Fighting with My Family.
He was, but he wasn't in the ring.
But yeah, I'll be curious. Kind of, it's A24, so what's the general rule? A24 can't do no wrong.
They tend to know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. So it's coming out next year. I will bet you money it's probably a movie club next year at some point, but we will see.
It should be.
That's my guess. It's not something massive that's out that month, but we don't know what's coming yet. The next thing I want to shout out because I'm sad for the record, because if that makes AJ happier, is Studio Ghibli just released a project with Lucasfilm on Disney Plus starring Baby Yoda. The thing I'm sad is, why are we wasting Studio Ghibli and stuff like this?
Because they have no direction anymore. But
yeah, you have, I would argue, one of the best animation houses in history. Like, it's them and Pixar, I think, is really a fight. And you're wasting them on animated Star Wars that we seem to be getting more of than people care about.
yeah, I mean, Miyazaki is kind of out of it at this point, so.
Mm-hmm. But, like, I just think it's, like, one of those sad ones of, like, Ghibli's so, I genuinely think, like, when we talk about, like, the greatest animation of all time, I think it probably is Ghibli and Pixar. But, like, the point is, like, it's just sad. I'm like, why? Why? I understand you need to pay bills, but, like, you're wasting your talent doing Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. They are.
But I felt like we had to mention that one. Tail into the film stuff. I want to talk about this Westworld news because I think it signals something I think it needs to talk about broader. So Westworld is officially canceled HBO, which was by all accounts a relatively surprising decision, even based on Warner canceling everything. What to me I want to talk about is this the last thing kind of from that like era of HBO of like the teen like because like that 20 teens like late 2020 I feel like it's like that HBO that like you talk about like like HBO and AMC at the time were doing this like gold level, like perfect shows kind of. Remember when Westworld came out, it was this giant, like it shook up the world.
Yeah.
And I'm
Um,
curious, kind of, are you feeling this is the end of that? Besides, like some maybe the Game of Thrones show and
I
like
was
Lord of
gonna
the Rings
say, I
fans on
guess it
like,
depends on how you classify like House of Dragons.
to me it feels like Westworld the last of this like new thing that we're putting money into.
Yeah. Um, I think also too like the second season of Westworld, I believe, ended right around when HBO Max started.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so kind of that probably killed off a lot of their big projects. Um, and I mean, out of the Max launch, right, we got shows like Doom Patrol, which is still one of my favorite things on HBO.
They're doing nothing, but I feel
Yeah,
like they're just like I think there is something of like that like 20 we'll say 12 to like 20 honestly like 2019 2018 of like you heard of HBO in every other sentence. Like at the same time AMC was doing things like money was being spent on TV. Like it was wild budgets, giant shows and
yeah.
like
I mean, I feel
with
like also we're at kind of it's cyclical, right? So we're kind of at the end of that cycle
mhm.
where HBO and AMC are basically on the same path, where they're now at the point of they're kind of gone too far, and like diehard fans don't care about the shows anymore, and there's generally more hate towards the shows than there is praise.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like kind of that response had a lot to do with them canceling
Probably
Westworld
that's
because honestly, I had forgotten that the fourth season had even started. First
okay,
off,
valid. Like there's validity of I feel like no one was talking about it. But I just think of you this as like the end of an era, I think, in a lot of ways for
yeah,
stuff.
especially now that like in the meantime, it seems like Netflix is trying to expedite that cycle with their shows,
Mm-hmm.
and they're succeeding and failing with shows. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see like let's be real, the only thing that Netflix really invests in anymore is Stranger Things. And
Yeah.
so, you know, they're kind of reaching that point too. And Stranger Things, they have a hard out at season 5, I think is what they said. So
Stranger Things is done after this next season.
is it? I thought they had one more.
Maybe so. I thought this was it. I thought the one that's coming out is it.
Okay.
That's what I thought. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what it was. Is that's it.
Yeah, I thought for some reason they were doing a fifth. And maybe the one that's just came out was 4, but
I thought the one that just came out was 4.
maybe. Anyway, they're doing a fifth, and I think that's it for Stranger
Mm-hmm.
Things. So that's which Westworld was only going to have 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
The creator said that after the news came out that it was canceled.
Also, I like how he's saying creator like it's not a Nolan. Like the creator, the random person.
Well, he's an EP on it at this point. Like,
But I thought he was the creator of the modern Westworld TV.
originally, yeah, it was Jonathan Nolan. He was running that show, but yeah, I mean, it's the interesting point of you know TV has its cycles, each show has its cycles, and it just so happens that stuff is lining up across networks. Right, we don't really have a show to bridge like Breaking Bad kind of bridged between like the end of The Wire, um, the end of Boardwalk Empire into
Obviously, yeah, into Sopranos. Yeah, you could
well,
just have that. You Walking Dead and because Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, and Mad Men, I thought all came right around the same time, or they peaked around the same time
ish,
minimally.
yeah. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, no, but I just want to show it out the end of it. Um, Speaking of not the end, as we get to the tail end of film news, is we have our first trailer for John Wick 4, I think that's the official title. The John Wick. What's the official name of it? I put down John Wick 4 and I feel like I'm blanking. No, it's Chapter 4. Yeah. John Wick Chapter 4, which seems like it's like a one-on-one duel, basically. Um, what was your kind of take on the trailer and kind of your level of excitement going into John Wick 4, which comes out in March 24th?
I mean, I'll be excited because it's a new John Wick. Like, I don't really need to see trailers for it. I don't really care about trailers because I'm gonna go see it no matter what. But I think it's cool to see some of the other big names that they're bringing in to the series.
Skarsgård, I assume this is going to be a big one. I assume that you point to on that one, and Lance Reddick. But Lance Reddick was in the past, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Skarsgård was in it too, but it was his dad.
Oh, his dad. Yeah, okay.
But isn't Jet Li in this new one? I want to say. I'm really worried about clicking this link because.
The link I sent you fine.
No, it's gonna.
I'll play over it. Yeah. I don't think he is.
Audio. There we go. I stopped it. I got the first initial bing, but that's it. Donnie Yen is in it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Donnie Yen. And then Clancy Brown was in the past John Wicks, right?
Clancy Brown?
Yeah. Was he not?
I don't believe so.
No, he was not. Yeah, this is Clancy Brown. Is his first.
Yeah.
So. Nice. Yeah, that's kind of all the film stuff. Jumping into games. The first one, we just got a shout out. Kotaku. Kotaku did a report on the man who tried to attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband in the hospital. Can anyone in 5 cents or less, AJ, I'll let you be anyone in this one, honestly tell me what Gamergate was about and how it still refers to in this day and age?
I don't even think Gamergate really knew what it was back then. So,
like if you don't know, Gamergate was this thing in like 2014, 2015 where a couple game critics and developers got harassed because it came out with their rumors or there was accusations they were sleeping with some like people to get reviews. Like that was what it was.
Yeah, it was.
And it was bad. I'm not gonna not defending, right? It was bad at the time. Whole shebang. Like it got out of hand, bad at the time. But it's not relevant to this day and age. Like from the sense of it's not driving news. It's not changing opinions why does it feel like Gamergate still comes up every couple months for some weird reason that honestly I don't understand why they're connected to anything.
Other than the fact that the guy that attacked Paul Pelosi mentioned it in a post about how he got into the whole QAnon thing and his other conspiracy theories. He mentions that it was Gamergate that kind of pushed him into it. But
Sure, but I would argue that Gamergate being relevant to this day, I think, is some level of people still reporting on stuff that I think loosely connect to it. Or also, they want it to.
Let's be real. QAnon would not exist without the original Gamergate push. Or it wouldn't be as big. Because that whole side of the internet, kind of this crazy alt-right side of the internet, latched on to Gamergate. and took it to a whole different route, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reality of the situation, the original situation behind Gamergate, is that that stuff needed to be called out, right? Like,
I'm not saying we shouldn't call it all the time. I'm not
yeah.
saying that.
But then it quickly turned into, just degrading women in games, which is not cool.
Yeah, no, not cool. But I am convinced that if it's not doesn't pop up in um like in the media every couple months that we'd forget this thing existed. Like I genuinely don't think like I have friends who have played games who have heard this term and have directly asked me like, what is this thing? I keep hearing people talk about it and I have no clue what this is. Like it's not a thing that's should be that well known. Like it was they were targeting journalists and like developers that like some level of names, but it wasn't even like it was no one people knew. Like this thing like turned into I think it's one of these tales and it turned into a way bigger story than made any sense to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's our shout out to Kotaku for the month. Next door is PSVR 2. I think this is the first time on the show mentioning how it has a date, it has a price. So it's $550 in the US and it comes out on February 22nd. As of now, your best place to get pre-orders is to log into the PlayStation website and like go in their like ticketing system, whatever, and they'll send you email. I'm kind of curious, AJ, what's your thoughts on this price point and kind of do you feel that it seems right?
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, for what this headset is, the price isn't bad. And I think there's people that are screaming out that this price is horrendous. First off, hold your tits, right? Actually look at what this thing has, right? This is an OLED panel. It's still just one panel. It's not the two, like the Vive or the Index. So it's 2000 by 2040 per eye. So it's it's not quite 2K per eye, but it's a little over 4K panel. It does 90 and 120 hertz. The FOV on it is 110, which is pretty good for this stuff. This now has 4 cameras on the headset itself, so it does inside-out tracking. So you don't need a Move camera on your TV or anything like that. And it also has IR cameras for your eyes, so it can track your eyes. Now, for people that don't know what this means, basically, this is the equivalent of the tech behind the Uncharted series when you zoom in with a weapon. How suddenly everything is sharper and then stuff around is blurry. This plow dude is like hauling ass.
He's ready.
Yeah, he's doing his job, which I like. So basically, it's making sure that what your eye is actually looking at is rendered in the best clarity, and it will sacrifice performance for anything outside of that view. It's great. Like that tech is where a lot of this stuff needs to go anyway. It also allows lower performing hardware to produce higher quality stuff. So it's a single cable, it's a single USB Type-C, which is nice.
So I agree with you on all of this, right? So I broadly agree with you. So the thing I stick with is, and I think there's a validity to the discussion around price in the sense of I think it's valid of for the cost for what you get is there. But I think it's a harder swallow considering we're talking about this like on a $500 console. Like I think this is where the discussion gets interesting because like the
Well,
cost of the console and then the user base normally that you watch this at, like I think it becomes a weirder
let's
kind
put it
of
this way,
costing.
right? The Valve Index, which this headset is most comparable to, right? This thing blows the Meta Quest into the Stone Age at this point for what this headset's going to do. So its main competition is the Valve Index and the Vive 2. Those headsets both start the headset alone at least $700. Right. So, and they're $1,000 all in between the tracking, the base stations, the controllers, the headset. It's $1,000. Right. So for this to be $550, people need to put this headset into perspective.
Oh no, and I agree with you. I think it's also I at least think, and maybe I'm wrong, that when I look at console pricing for stuff or like hobbyist PCs, I think the pricing should be different also, or at least it makes sense for pricing to commonly different because like who you're targeting. Like this is targeting I think a stronger hardcore variance than like PSVR probably was from like what this tech is comparable to what's out there. But it's still like people who own the Index or certain type of VR players that I don't think this game's competing or this hardware is competing for because it would always lose.
I mean, honestly, right? Like if someone was in the PC space and wanted to get into VR, I'd tell them just to go get a PS5 and a VR2. It's going to be cheaper. So I think it could steal some of that kind of prosumer audience that the Index was enticing to, but maybe the fact that you were going to need a probably minimum $800 PC, and then you're going to drop a G bar on a headset and everything to go with it. Meanwhile, I could say, hey, this headset's $550, $600 if you want to get the game with it and the base station. And a PS5 is what, $400, $500? So
yeah, that sounds great.
It's it's a stack in, right? It's not even that's all in for $1,000. So I think that the people that would be looking at VR to be like, it's too expensive, this is the next step down from that. And it's 90% the same headset, right? Like, for those people, they're not going to notice the difference between an Index and a VR2. Right?
No, I think that's actually a valid argument on that one, yeah.
I think that's the market that this is going for.
Yeah, no problem. Next story that. So background on this story. I think AJ knows this, but just so you know. So Volition, we're talking about. I could have worked there. I chose not to. A job offer, and I had friends who worked on this. So it was a really weird personal story at the same time. So it got announced yesterday. So Deep's over and Embracer did up a bunch of like earning stuff. Yes, the other day. And this story broke, which I think is really weird and interesting discussion. So Volition, people know, team that made Saints Row, Champaign, Illinois, kind of like Central Illinois. Saints Row this year came out, obviously didn't set the world on fire, but broadly, according to their earnings, like hit their trajectories, maybe a little less, but like kind of in track, makes money back. They announced now that Volition is no longer a Deep Silver team, which was like the sub-brand they owned Embracer. Volition is now a Gearbox team, which I don't know. I'm very curious, kind of like how they use this team. Like, does it gotta become like a support team? Does it become like one of their sub teams in the same way that like Gearbox bought, was it Lost Vikings, or that studio's out of Madison? They bought a couple months ago or half a year ago.
Or
Um,
like Gearbox Austin.
yeah, like I'm just kind of curious, kind of what this means for that team, and kind of from Embracer's point of view, like how this makes sense, right? Because I'm assuming that means they're done with Saints Row. I'm assuming at this point that means they're working on either like Borderlands or Wonderlands or maybe Army of Two or like some Gearboxy IP. But like I'm kind of curious, kind of what are your thoughts on this? What I'm considering a demotion from a studio structure point of view, kind of for Volition.
I mean, Volition, here's the problem, right? Like, they were handed that franchise. Basically, Volition was handed a frag grenade with the pin pulled and said, and was told, have fun.
Yeah, so I've heard some kind of more inside stories, kind of where Volition, I also think partially did it to themselves, objectively. But I do get what you're saying, kind of like I think they were going for. I think one of the things was like Volition, like some of the things was Volition's internal decision, and I think that might have screwed them because the team was trying to go for something that I think audiences just didn't want.
They also objectively didn't succeed in anything they tried, so it's not just a audience disconnect. It was disconnect because what they were trying to put out there was half baked. So I think for Volition now, like their ceiling is they become a Gearbox Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Their floor is they become a support studio.
So right. I think it's worth keeping an eye on. But I'm kind of sad because I think there is a spot on the world of Saints Row. I just think what they released kind of wasn't there. But I think there still is that section in the world for the game. But yeah, I'm just kind of very concerned.
Oh, there definitely is. Don't get me wrong with that. There's definitely a section of gamers that would much rather have a concise Saints Row campaign with maybe a co-op element to it over the Grand Theft Auto juggernaut, right? Like, at this point, even Grand Theft Auto's base campaign is like, 30 hours to get through?
Mm-hmm.
I think you can get through a little bit faster, but it's 25 to 30 hours, and then they have the online, and that's online. It's a living game, so it's endless. There's people that just want a Saints Row like just goofy storyline, and they just did not succeed. So I hope they see this as a awakening for the studio, because I really hope they're not in this kind of my shit don't stink territory. Like, I hope they weren't that before Saints Row came out. And then
I don't know enough kind of that. I just know like a lot of the decisions kind of that were made was kind of they made kind of purposely that the audiences didn't like. So yeah, maybe that's where the part of this decision came from, is they trust that kind of decision structure less, but I could be wrong.
I mean, also, tale as old as time. They fucked around and they found out.
That's true.
So
you try to. That's wrong with reinventing franchises. Is sometimes you got God of War and sometimes you don't.
Yeah. But also, I mean, the way that God of War succeeded was they took one character from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They took the lead character and that's it. Saints Row, like, they had so many characters, and they tried to, like, make new versions of those characters, and you're like, just make something new. Right? Like, I would much rather see a Saints Row where it's an all-new team, like a team of characters, with zero ties to the original trilogy.
And I agree, but I think there's at least some level of look that, like, this game I think was missing, kind of, that, like, there's a vibe of, like, 2 to 3 is a good example. Like, those games are very different, but they both fit kind of in the same vibiness of, this is. with this game, I think we all remember seeing that trailer for the Saints Row, and we were like, "That's not Saints Row. I don't know what that is, but that's not Saints Row."
Yeah.
But we'll see. Speaking of reviving franchises, I just want to shout out the next one. There's no actual news here, but it was worth kind of shouting out that. So Josh Shore, if you don't know, was the director on Fallout New Vegas and is the design director, or one design director at Obsidian, which is obviously a studio that Microsoft owns. They worked on Fallout New Vegas as a contract for hire for Bethesda, who Microsoft also owns. I think it's interesting that, so during a podcast interview, he talked about how he'd be willing to work on a Fallout again. Obviously, the last one was a very notorious, 18 months, rough game to kind of make, even though it's a relatively in the franchise, maybe the most loved game, or at least up there. And I think it's interesting that he was, his openness, especially being someone who was, I think, accepted that's what he's known for making the game, but definitely was not someone who wanted to talk about it all the time. I think it's interesting that going with the rumors earlier in this year that Microsoft is looking at bringing, making a new Vegas-y type, shorter development type thing. I think it's interesting that if people at Obsidian aren't interested in doing that, that there is a world we get where they make one again. Especially with them making stuff like the Outer World and having the original Fallout, the original Fallout team on staff now. I think it's kind of interesting that is a possibility, at least.
I mean, it's such a non-story, right? Of course the guy's going to say, "Oh yeah, I'd be down to do that." I don't see a world where he says, "No, I don't want to do that."
A few years ago, when I was hearing him talk, he definitely didn't seem as into the idea, at least.
I think somebody puts a check in front of him, he'd be down to do it. So it's it's one of those he can say yeah now because they're internal; they don't have to worry about anything. So
right, it's not like as long as he's not actually breaking any news, it's not a problem. So. But no, I thought it was at least a story kind of its interesting kind of. I'd be curious if we keep getting winds of that, just because there were those rumors earlier in the year too, which I think kind of go with this. But the next story, speaking of Embracer, I talked about earlier, I think was maybe actually the more shocking story. So people don't know, Embracer bought the Western Square Enix studios from Square Enix. So that included Square Enix Montreal, Square Enix Quebec, and IO Interactive. Not Quebec. I'm sorry. So it's Montreal, IO, and Crystal. So Square Enix Montreal, because Square Enix changed its name, right, to Onama? And then 3 weeks later, Embracer just closed them down.
Sounds about right.
What? What? Why?
Doesn't
why
surprise me in the slightest.
So I understand they bought them with IP rights. I get why they bought them. Why did they rename them? That's what I don't understand.
They probably renamed them because they're like, hey, we want to get rid of this studio, so we'll rename them and try to see if anyone will buy them. Right. So
and
now
you're
not buying Square Enix Montreal. You're buying, this other studio.
Mm-hmm.
So it may look a little easier for, a 505 or for a Sony or Microsoft or EA or Ubisoft, right? Embracer's already done that work for you of changing the name so you don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think when they figured out that nobody wanted to buy them, they just shut it down. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So.
But no, that was something I think was surprising. Next thing, which I think is just a shout out, but I think it's funny as hell. So the Sonic creator has been arrested on insider trading.
For charges from a decade ago, I think they said.
Yeah, no, it is. Because it's related to the Dragon Quest game, I think.
Yeah, it's one of the Dragon Quest games.
Yeah, one of the mobile games. Um, but I thought it was funny that was a Rust that came out of that. The next thing I wanted to shout out, kind of in a news story, is people who are curious about like R&D and hardware. The Sony Group, which is obviously Sony, their hardware division announced, which is really cool. They have developed, as far as I could find, it is the smallest. It's not only R&D, so it's not production, but it's the smallest chipset that I think has ever been made. It's approximately
it's a
1,000
nanometer.
times. Yeah, it's 1,000 times smaller than any current chipset on the market. So people don't know, the reason that'd be really cool is you actually use obviously less chips if you wanted to, and it would take up less space. So you could start seeing things like super small consoles or phones getting smaller, and any of these like things that obviously could really matter.
Well,
And
this
I thought it was
chip
cool shouting out.
specifically, yeah, this chip specifically is basically it's an integrated storage and semiconductor chip. So these chips exist already, but they're very weak. They aren't very like they're in low power stuff, right? So they're not used for much. Well, I take that back. They're used for a lot of things, but they don't do much, right? Like it may be part of, oh, your toaster has a LCD on it that tells you how long it's going to take to toast your toast, right? And these chips are used for that. Now these things are incredibly small and incredibly powerful. So now in theory you can scale this up and make theoretically PS5 fit on like a USB stick, and you could stick it into your TV and not have to worry about anything. So I think if you had to look at what this tech is going to be used for, it's going to be that this is the next PlayStation, right? Like the next PlayStation isn't going to be a box. It's going to be something you plug into the side of your TV, like a Chromecast, and maybe it needs USB power or something like that. And all of a sudden you've got, PlayStation 6 on your TV, and there's not some big clunky box taking up space. So.
Yeah, no, but I thought it was a cool thing. That's why we don't usually talk a ton of hardware here, but I thought it was. I think it's one of those, like, as stuff shifts, I think it's gonna be one of the things I think we're to come back to this story at some point, or I see something about it.
Yeah, I'd say we're probably 5 years out.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we're definitely like we're gonna see it soon, or we're gonna start hearing about it soon. Minimal in some actual capacity. Because people forget, like, Sony R&D is, like, legit does good stuff. Like,
Sony R&D... Okay, let's put it this way. Sony is solely responsible for Blu-ray. Sony is solely responsible for Betamax, which obviously that didn't take off.
Didn't Sony own, like, MP3 or something wild?
They were one of the original creators of the MP3. Like,
yeah.
Sony research and Sony R&D isn't everything that you and I use. So for people that are like, oh man, like Sony's struggling, they're not.
No, Sony tomorrow, if they wanted to just make a business of R&D and PlayStation, they would be insanely profitable.
Yes,
it's
they
could
sell everything off. They could sell their music. They could sell all of their movie stuff, all their TV stuff. If they were just left
R&D.
If they were just left with Sony Computer Entertainment and Sony R&D, first off, the PlayStation's already the top-selling console, so they don't have to worry about that. And on top of that, for every Xbox that's sold, they get a cut. Right? So,
I don't think people realize that even last generation, I think it was particularly last generation because that was when they fully owned Blu-ray, that every single Xbox One that was sold, Sony got like a couple bucks.
Yeah, I think it was like $10.
Yeah, like it's not like a ton of money. But the point is, they make something of everything.
Yep. So, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that they do on the professional side
Oh
for
yeah.
codecs and stuff like that no consumer's ever going to interact with. So,
But you do without realizing it.
yeah.
Like it matters, but yeah, you don't see them. Or even like film technology, like even if their films don't always do great, I thought they like have some like movie theater technology and stuff that like they've kind of helped make, and like some of the sound technology and stuff.
I mean, they basically saved movie theaters. They invented the first laser projectors. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, so next story. This is one of those bigger, rougher stories that I think at least needs to be shouted out, and I think people should go read them. So if people don't know, when Doom Eternal came out, there was a story of the director of Marty Stratton, the director of Doom, did on Reddit that talked about how like there's problems in development. He was rightly sowing to Mick Gordon saying he was unprofessional. There was problems with it. Come forward now, a year and some change, a year and a half, and Mick Gordon now posts on Medium. I swear to God, the longest post maybe in Medium's history, because I read most of it. It's a 58-minute read, according to Medium, of him basically going step by step and explaining how basically all of the development problems was on the side of id and Martin Shred and that team. And like to the point where at one point that like they were refusing to pay him for even like work he did and was accepted. Like I think you need people need to go kind of go in and read it, but
This
I don't
is
know, kind of
this is the first story where the TLDR for it is longer than most news articles.
yeah.
Like Mick Gordon's thing has chapter marks. That's how big.
Oh, it's organized. It has receipts. Like I think it's totally something people need to check out.
Hella organized. This dude has, like you said, he has receipts, and he is ready to cash in. And obviously, it came back with their statement of everything in there was,
But hear me out though. Their statement was like a statement where his was, here's my receipts, which really doesn't make me trust it in this one.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, id had no receipts. Id's statement was shorter than Marty's TLDR.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me think that should this go down the legal courts or legal roads, which it looks like it will, I have a feeling Mick Gordon is going to come out of this just fine.
Yeah, and considering at one point Mick Gordon was saying that he was offered money to basically shut up, makes me feel like he might go to court because he's like, I don't care.
Yeah, him saying, "Oh yeah, they offered me like $600,000 to shut up." I'm like, "Oh, there's hush money involved with this."
Which hush money is not illegal for the record.
No,
people don't know hush money is not illegal.
No, it is not. But if it affected a contract, then it is. Speaking of things that are affecting contracts, Blizzard was unable to reach an agreement with NetEase, their Chinese publisher. I guess they're not really a publisher because Blizzard stuff is all digital at this point.
They could still be because of how China law works. Like, it's weird. Yeah. Localizations can still be publishers, but yeah.
So, World of Warcraft, Overwatch 2, Diablo 3, basically every Blizzard game will be unable to be played in China after January 23rd, 23.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. That's the biggest market.
So that is true, but I actually don't know on Activision's books how much they matter.
Yeah.
Because of them having a sub-publisher, so it's like, it matters. But I actually don't think... I'd be shocked if it's more than a couple percentage points.
Well, for their competitive stuff, it would be way bigger. But, like,
sure.
WoW, yeah, probably 5% is Chinese.
Yeah, which, again, money, but, like, I don't think we're going to make games go away because of this.
No.
Activision's not going to be hurting because of this. Like, it will matter, but I don't think. I bet you when you account for the liaisons they needed to like do all this stuff and the headaches, I bet you it's not going to be as big of a thing as people think. It's big for brand recognition, but not big for direct revenue.
Yeah, I
Like that's kind of my broad opinion on this, but we will wait and see. And the next story after that one that needed to be I think talked about. Speaking of Activision, is there rumors circulating that Diablo 4 could be coming out like next year, like in April, which I think is wild. It's coming from reputable sources. This is why I'm giving it the time of day. Like Windows Central is a very legitimate source. But I think it's kind of a wild thing that, because in my head, I assumed, even though I'm not supposed to, that they would hold Diablo 4 the best they could until the merger was done. Because I assumed that'd be like a fun, like, merger is done, come out the gate with this type moment. But I apparently could be wrong on this. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, AJ.
Since this was a project already in place before the merger started, I would assume that there would be some. If they held it for the merger, there could be more complications legally than if they just put it out.
And to clarify, people don't know because how merger stuff all works. They're not supposed to directly adjust schedules because of the merger unless there's like some ramification reason they have to. But they get 100% still play kind of some level of fast and loose with those kind of numbers for obvious reasons of what they do and don't do when stuff comes out.
I mean, they could announce a delay, but also like Diablo 4 doesn't have a release date currently.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe in that way they could be like, oh, well, now we can hold it off.
Mm-hmm. And they could be as simple as like it was delayed for production reasons. Like no one's really going to sue them on that. Like that's going to pass the snuff test of course.
Yeah.
Just because being realistic.
This could affect some earnings projections, but other than that, I don't see any problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And then the final story, which is Blizzard related, because it's not Blizzard. This is Bungie's related. So officially at Cyan, a remake of Myst is coming. So I just wanted to shout that out. We don't know much about it, but I thought it was an interesting thing to kind of obviously shout out, kind of to close off the stuff. But yeah, there's games to keep an eye out for coming out over the next rest of this year and going next year. Callisto Protocol comes out the 2nd, I think, as you're hearing this. Dead Space Remake comes out January 27th, which I think is kind of fitting, being the next giant thing that I saw. Company Heroes 3 comes out February 23rd. RE4 Remake comes out March 24th. Dead Island 2, which is officially delayed out of that February date, is now on April 28th. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom coming out May 12th. And Starfield and Redfall still do not have dates. Looking at this, AJ, or looking at other things that you know come out next year, what is kind of your big thing that you're keeping an eye out for?
I mean, it's Callisto Protocol, right? Like,
okay.
I've joked about it since we've been talking about it this year. This is probably going to be, it's out too late to really get true consideration for Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
At least for us. But this could easily be my 23 Game of the Year.
And even for us, depending, because we're probably not going to hit it till right around Christmas. So yeah, but yeah.
But still, I mean.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying.
2 weeks to really
deal
with that. But yeah, I mean, the new Need for Speed's coming out.
Oh yes, I did not write down that one. Yeah,
that doesn't look great. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously it's end of end of calendar year is a little interesting because you'd think there'd be
Those
a
are
ton of
always the
releases,
yeah, they get lost.
but all of those get pushed to fiscal year end, which is usually
Mm-hmm.
March. So, yeah,
You know, it's
fun stuff.
fun stuff. That's all we got. AJ, unless you think otherwise, I would think that through the rest of this year, unless you have some fun thing we could stream, that I'm assuming there'll be no movie club at least for this and for this kind of December month because I don't think it makes timeline wise sense unless you have something fun. Do you want to pull up there?
I'm currently looking at the IMDb release calendar.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I just don't remember there being anything massive in December that I think it might make sense.
I mean, there's that Violent Night, which looks kind of funny. There's The Whale, which is Brendan Fraser's new movie.
All right, that finally is right release, doesn't it?
Obviously, Avatar comes out, but that's at the end of the month.
And also, I'm gonna be honest here. I didn't really care when Avatar came out. Gonna be objective. You'd have to pay me the price to go see it.
So,
yeah. So I think there'll be nothing for December. Enjoy December. Maybe go see The Whale on your own time or whatever. And then we'll be back in January, and then January I will expect there to be we'll come up with an actual. So
yeah.
don't worry. It's just a 1 month pause, unless AJ really wants to go. So the only. Oh damn! It's too late in the month because you know it does come out this month.
What's up?
Glass Onion.
I think I'm going to see that when I'm in Florida.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about it. I wouldn't be shocked if we end up talking about this. I think we'll both end up seeing it, but we just won't be on the schedule.
Yeah.
Because we both really, really liked Knives Out, and I'm actually curious if we can pull it off again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we have. AJ, what do you? So it is dinner time for you over there. What are you doing this week? Any big plans?
Yeah, I'm heading to Florida, so yeah.
Enjoy yourself. Do you fly out of Grand Rapids, I assume?
Yeah.
Is it direct, or do you get stuck like Chicago?
Atlanta.
Oh, that makes sense.
So.
Well, Atlanta to Sarasota?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Nice. Thanksgiving's at my house this year, so I have to do like the last minute shopping of like the salad and the potato and like the stuff that like stores will have.
Yeah.
So like I have the turkey and the cranberry and all that, but like I have to do like the fun like, oh, this thing will go bad if I don't buy it like the day before.
Yeah.
So, nice. Yeah, that is all, everyone. We will see you guys soon. Enjoy your holidays. And we'll be back next time with some Game of the Year stuff.
All right, sounds good, everyone. We'll talk to you then.
The SWW Show and all of its affiliate podcasts are podcast by me, Mike Maroney, and AJ Losi, sometimes by contributors, including Corey King. You can follow the SWW Show on social media at the SWW Show, or sooner or later you go to patreon.com/SWW to help us out. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.